ye mountains high, where the clear blue sky arches over the vales of the free, where the pure breezes blow and the clear streamlets flow, how I've longed to your bosom to flee. O Zion, dear Zion, land of the free.
This is Ben McClintock and Enoch Moore of DefendingUtah.org, where we think right and wrong, not right and left. Don't forget to subscribe to the Defending Utah YouTube channel. You can also find us on Spreaker, iTunes, and iHeartRadio. Welcome back to the Thursday segment of the Liberty Lineup Radio Show. This is The Naked Truth, where we think right and wrong, not right and left. My name is Ben McClintock, and I'm here in studio with my co-host, Enoch Moore.
Hi, Ben.
Hey. And we are from DefendingUtah.org. Make sure you subscribe to Defending Utah's YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and search for Defending Utah. Get up-to-date interviews that we've had and what we've done with other people, presentations that we have. It's just a great resource for you to go to YouTube and subscribe to the Defending Utah YouTube channel. Also want to tell you about our sponsor, MedicalCostShare.com, and make sure that you go check them out. That's MedicalCostShare.com. Now,
I've checked them out,
You've checked them out, and you think they're awesome.
I do. I'm actually a Medical Cost Share customer myself.
There you go. That tells you everything. I mean, you chose it before they even became a sponsor.
I had Medical Cost Share before it was cool. Okay,
that tells you something.
Because I recognize the value right off the
bat.
top.
It's just obvious.
Yeah.
It's self-evident.
It was self-evident. It was, hey, pay $1,600 for Cobra, or save well over $1,000 a month. And I was like, yep, no brainer.
No brainer. And you're exempt from Obamacare now.
I am exempt from Obamacare. Even though all of us, according to constitutional law, and the fact that it's not a delegated authority
but
to
you're
the federal
exempt
government.
From the jackbooted thugs.
I'm exempt even according to the unconstitutional rules.
Yeah. So recently I was interviewed by one of the most famous people in Utah, Thomas Dyches of Pyrolitical Radio. And I thought it'd be awesome to have him on our show, and he was gracious enough to join us. Thomas, you're on the air with Ben and Enoch.
Hey, it's good to be on with you guys.
I appreciate you, and I appreciate all the things that you do. I hope people will check you out on Pyrolitical on your website and as well as your YouTube channel.
Yeah, I hope they will. I don't know if I'm famous. I'm infamous. I have ruffled feathers.
You're
up at
infamous.
The legislature. Infamous.
Like the Three Amigos. You're not just famous,
Absolutely.
You're infamous.
Now, I don't have to be naked for this show because you said we're looking at the naked truth here. So
I thought that was one of the requirements we talked about.
we're putting it all on the line here.
So it's psychological nudity.
There we go. We're going to get real transparent here. But no, it's great to be with you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. So we some of the things that are coming up in the news that you guys are been talking about are the NSA Center, and we've got you've got the Attorney General coming down there, and I want to talk to you about your review of Hillary's America as well. But you did a video that went viral about the NSA building. Tell us about that.
Well, it was one of those things. I was in town for business up in Salt Lake area, and my brother lives in Lehi, just at the foot of that hill where the data center is. And I was up there for business. I had no intention of shooting that video. But one morning, I just felt like I needed to go jog up to as close as I dared get, because the police are always out there with their lights on.
Yep.
But I got pretty close, and so, yeah, I just kind of let the spirit move on me. And I've always had a real hatred for that facility in our state. And so I just kind of let it go. Went out there one morning and just let everybody know what I think about it.
So what do you think about it? Tell us.
Well, it's interesting that we're in a state formed by Mormons, or it was founded by Mormons who literally left the at the time the United States. They left that country because they wanted religious freedom and property rights, and and they just wanted to be left alone, obviously.
Right.
And so here we are, fast forward 100 and whatever, 70 years, and here's this giant, massive spy center in our valley there, and I just can't understand the disconnect. And for me, it's just like, look, I know most of us have nothing to hide, but it's a spy center. It's collecting all of our data, personal and public.
The Fourth Amendment wasn't out there to protect criminals.
Right. Absolutely. And so there it is. And why? City of Bluffdale and legislators and everybody I talked to, Big D Construction, all these companies, it's like, do you understand what a violation of principle and of liberty that place is? And now they're talking about building another data center. It's not for the NSA, but
right.
To me, it's just a gross violation of our liberties. What are you thinking, Utahns? Honestly.
And it's amazing
how
like you said, all the elected officials are just thinking it's the best thing since sliced bread.
Well, it doesn't create a lot of jobs. It uses over 1 million gallons of water a day, and they pay the Highway Patrol of Utah $1 million a year to patrol those roads. You got to stop us dangerous Utahns from doing anything untoward up there. So it's like there is no benefit to it, but that's the financial case, which is the ancillary case. The fundamental case is, do you value your liberty? Do you value the Constitution? Right. The fundamental principles should be the case we make for basically getting it out of our state. And so that's why I made the video, because I thought, man, there needs to be somebody speaking out. Now, I'm not the only one. You guys have probably talked about it a ton. You guys are awesome, and you guys get it. But I think there's a lot of us, especially in the conservative movement, who just don't understand that the support of the military-industrial complex by being patriotic breeds that kind of thing being in our midst.
Yeah.
So it's like we kind of have to reevaluate what we support.
Right.
It is so ironic that here in the land of Zion, that was originally established to try to reaffirm the principles of freedom and free agency, that we have now allowed the greatest monument to the destruction of freedom.
Not just allowed, but like begged them and welcomed them with open arms, as politically speaking.
And subsidize. How much have we subsidized that building? That's not. We paid for it. Utah has.
Yeah, well, it's hard to get data on what the actual numbers are. I tried to
get data on the data center.
I know where the data is. It's in the data center.
Well, the data that explains the data center. It's hard to understand how it all came to be, and I tried to find legislative acts with regards to it, and there's just not a lot in the public record.
They won't even allow you to know how much water they're using. It's a matter of national security. It's actually classified information.
Yeah, and I'm just going off what I can glean off the... And here's the weird thing, guys, and I said this in the video I shot out there that day, is I'm doing this search on the NSA online, and I'm nervous about it because I realize this stuff's all collected, and I don't think I'm so important that anything will happen to me, but just the fact that I have that fear... I read that 37% of Americans have modified their online behavior because they fear being tracked or whatnot. So right. I just thought, what a weird time we live in where it's like we're literally afraid to look up certain things on the Internet when really we're all pretty innocuous. I mean, I don't know what you do, Enoch, but I know Ben is a rancher with poultry. I'm just a marketer. And I think we're no threat to anyone. We just are standing up, but yet we're still fearful of what we search for. So
I might start throwing eggs at the NSA center.
World we live in.
Yeah, your Ben is raising eggs for his egg cannon.
For my egg assault.
And you're going to egg the NSA building. He's dangerous.
Oh man! But what a weird age we live in.
Totally. You know who might have some information on how it came to be? We should ask Mia Love. Wasn't she the mayor over there when they were building that thing?
Wrong city. That's Bluffdale.
Oh, Bluffdale.
As opposed to Saratoga Springs. But the governor was one of the major. The governor and Orrin Hatch, one of the major lobbyists to get that here.
Governor
our 40-year senator.
Yep.
Anything Orrin Hatch does is dirty. If Orrin Hatch was behind it, you just automatically know.
If he told me the sky was blue, I'd disbelieve him.
Yeah, you'd say, wait. Yeah, so So the people who are trying to make up this really dumb conspiracy theory about flat Earth, they should have Orrin Hatch promote it, and then we'd say, "Oh, maybe there's something to it."
You get him some money too. That's the great thing.
Well, that's the funny thing you mentioned earlier about money is that's Ezra Taft Benson said that the focus on the economic aspects of things is actually a Marxist principle. We think of it as being a capitalist principle, but he says if you put your economic well-being over, because Karl Marx said that a man is an economic beast, and so if you put your economic well-being above your personal liberty, you are actually following Marxist doctrine. And so it's interesting to see our Utah officials in this so-called red state actually espousing Marxist doctrine.
Well, we actually have seen that a large section of our Utah legislature follow these Marxist principles.
Yeah.
There's even an article that you did, Ben, I believe, at defendingutah.org. It was on a legislator who was promoting Marxist principles.
He said we've got to implement Obamacare one small step at a time because Utahns won't accept it all at once.
Which
and
is
this
that's exactly what the Communist Manifesto says on how to implement Marxism.
Yeah, it's pretty clear, and it's pretty obvious that we're there. As a marketer, this Marxist dream, this dialectic that we've been given is that owning a home is the American dream. We're told that by realtor organizations and other. It isn't about property. It's about owning your own pursuit of happiness, owning your own destiny. Obviously, private property is part of the fruits of those labors, but we've been given this cheap bill of goods or sold it that to own our home, that's the American dream. And it's like, no, the pursuit of happiness, that's the American dream, and that's what capitalism should be based on, and free market enterprises. We are searching out our own destinies, and we're engaging freely as traders in those efforts. But we've had it co-opted by these dialectical materialists that, the value is in the stuff. The value is in the people.
Right.
And so they've totally co-opted that message of what America really was about. Obviously, a flawed and imperfect country, but far better for liberty and blessed by God towards human liberty. And so that's really what the message for me of America is it's that experiment where liberty, as imperfectly as we humans pursue it, it actually was allowed to reign to a certain level, and then over the decades, it's been reined back. Right. And that's why annoying people like you guys and me and all of us liberty lovers make these videos and do these broadcasts, because we just have to point out to our fellow Americans that, hey, you're really slaves. We have great slavery as far as slavery goes. Like, our pens are very nice.
Right.
I mean, we're very cushioned here, but we are being controlled and watched and collected, and we're in slavery, but it's just very efficient.
It's very efficient,
Never
very comfortable slavery.
In the history of mankind, this slavery.
We're listening to, this is the Liberty Lineup radio show here on K-Talk every Monday through Friday, 10 to noon. And we have on the line with us Thomas Dyches of Pyrolitical Radio. You have Pyrolitical Radio. What's the website again? You
can just go to pyrolitical.com. That's like pyro and political combined. Yep. Or if you want to engage with us, facebook.com/pyrolitical. Randall and I are always on there. So awesome. Engage with us on Facebook. But go to YouTube. That's where all of our videos go. Yeah. And there's a lot of great videos. There's one I wanted to talk about in the next segment about the video. You guys did a review of Hillary's America, which I thought it would be good to talk about. But one of the things that you told me that would be a good topic to discuss was about Sean Reyes is coming down to St. George. Yeah, Friday. Dixie Republican Forum is going to host him, and thankfully we get a Q&A session. It says it was only 15 minutes, but hopefully we can keep him there a little longer. Yeah. So what are some interesting things? What's he going to be talking about, and what are some things that you want to nail him on? Or just kind of not nail him like in a bad way. I mean, in the nicest possible way. What would you like to talk to him about? Well, I want to ask him about the data center and if he feels like the fundamental violation of the Fourth Amendment. I want to see if he actually supports that. And I'm not out to get anyone. I just want to ask the questions. Because, honestly, the left-right thing, you guys and I left that a long time ago, but that's where most Americans reside. So there's always a suspicion you're there to get them. I'm going to get you. We're going to we're going to undermine Hillary here, or we're going to.
It was like that
Trump.
comment
Like,
I saw
no.
somebody make on your Facebook page about how you're a leftist.
Yeah, I get called that all the time. I
Hilarious.
get called a right-wing extremist all the time. So either I'm just totally inconsistent, or it depends on who you are when you hear the material.
Right.
So I don't mind being called a leftist, because the left has been the side of peace, so-called. That's total fallacy. But that's fine. If you think I'm very peaceful, great. If you think I'm an extremist because I believe in self-defense and private property and all that, greedy capitalist, that's fine too. But the point is, what's the principle underlying the issue?
Right.
And that's what I'd like to ask the Attorney General is, do you actually support this? And I'm going to live stream that, because I'm
Awesome.
a jerk and I want people to see that. But I'm not going to try to get the guy. I just want to hopefully ask him a question or two. The other thing is asking him about, well, that's a big one for me, but also the connection between the federal government and local and county police and sheriff's departments.
Yeah.
The sheriff locally is going to be there. He's going to be doing the introduction and all that. So I would really love to live stream that and actually have the sheriff there when I'm asking the Attorney General about law enforcement and their entanglement with the federal government. That's a huge one as far as the drug war and all that. So that's another topic.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see his response. And if people want to check that out, go to the Pyrolitical YouTube to be able to check out that live stream. That's tomorrow. What time are they doing
Well,
that?
the live stream will be through Facebook, because it's just
through
easier to
Facebook,
do.
okay.
But I'll post that live stream video after the fact on the YouTube as well. So we want to get it out there, and I'll share that with you guys at Defending Utah and others, because I want to have these guys live on the record, because it's very important that we show them being held accountable. That's why the NSA video was in front of the NSA data center, to show a Utahn and a Mormon who's specifically calling on doctrinal issues,
Right.
doctrinal perspectives and all that. That needs to be seen. So that's why I'm going to live stream it. But I'll live stream it through Facebook and then post it to YouTube afterwards.
Okay. So, yeah, the Pyrolitical Facebook page. We are of defendingutah.org. We hope people will check us out and subscribe to Defending Utah's YouTube channel. We have as our guest Thomas Dyches of Pyrolitical Radio. Check them out on Facebook, on YouTube, and on the internet at their website, pyrolitical.com. Thanks again for joining us, Thomas.
Good to be with you guys.
So we were talking about before the break. You and Randall did a really good, I thought, a really good review of Hillary's America, because you're a leftist and you love Hillary. You had some really bad things to say about that movie, right?
Oh boy.
Sarcasm there.
Yeah, it was weird, because I just checked it. We're about 2,000 views now on that review video, but we have 40 dislikes or thumbs down and 6 likes. And I've been watching that ratio, because usually you have it flipped. And I thought either it's really poor quality, and then I watched a bunch of other reviews of the movie by leftists and other people.
Right.
The quality we have is great. It's better or as good as them,
Right.
production-wise. So really what I think we're doing is we're hitting on a vein. We're challenging a premise that people don't like. And there's a problem with patriotism, and that's the thing. And I do give props to Dinesh D'Souza for actually putting a movie out that hits at one of the powers that be.
Right.
But that's the problem. It only hits at one side, and it doesn't. And I understand why he does it, because it makes money and it gets views, and he probably really believes it. But for us, it's just like you're just reinforcing what the people who go see the movie already believe. You're not actually going to change any people's minds of the other side, so-called.
Right.
And so doing that review was interesting, but it was also hard because it's a lengthy movie with a lot of claims. And then we went to a diner right after, and we just had to shoot it. And when in post, I put in some facts because I had to do some, but we had to get it out.
Right.
So that was a tough thing to do.
Yeah, you mentioned it like a
review
week or
that.
two before, and I was like, hey, where is this thing, man? You can't promise me something and not give it to me.
Well, unlike you, it's like Randall and I have to get together. He runs his own company, and we're busy like
Right.
normal Americans. So to do these things, as you guys know, like you doing this show every day on the radio, it's
Thankfully,
really
only once
tough
a
for
week.
us to be engaged.
But yeah, it takes a lot of work.
Well, it does, because the forces on the side of government are getting grants and loans. They're in the multi-county organizations. They're in these rural and sustainable development agencies. They're in all these things, and we're subsidizing them to be full-time undermining our liberties. Like Hollywood, we give them all this money, yet all their charitable endeavors and social endeavors undermine traditional spiritual and religious values. So it's like the forces on the side of subsidy and of statism and really Satanism, they get all our money, they get all our time, and then we do what we do to provide for our families, and then we try to squeeze in some liberty.
Right,
and that's why it's such a difficult thing to do a movie review like that, because I'm like, really? But I love doing it, so you just squeeze it in. But that's the tough thing. And so we got that movie review done, and I've been really interested to see the reactions. So
that is pretty interesting that you had that reaction. Kind of tell us a little bit about what is your review of that movie. I bet you a lot of our listeners, I know some of our other hosts really enjoyed the movie. Personally, I'll tell you the honest truth. When I haven't seen the movie, but I've seen some of his past movies, and when I watched the commercial, I literally cringed and laughed a little bit because it was
so left-right,
over the top, left-right.
Like, before you get into your review, I'll just say we talked earlier about how we're all in this soft, comfortable slavery, okay, and the main thing that keeps us there is by us all believing in this false left-right paradigm of, we'll continue to just either vote for our right or our left, depending on who we are, and we think that's where we're promoting, advancing freedom of our own version of freedom. And so as we're continually sold this concept that there's a left and a right in America, and that's what is the underlying current of everything, that keeps us in this soft, comfortable slavery. So anything that sells us that left-right idea seems to be just keeping us there. And so that's what I saw in this film. It was selling us, look how bad the left is, the right will save you.
Yeah, it's like the calm of despotism versus the tempestuous seas of liberty, to coin Jefferson. It's just easier to be tribal. And that's the thing we found with the movie, Enoch and Ben, is that the people who already believe Hillary's evil and the Democratic Party are going to go see that and cheer. The people that are supporting the other side, so-called, aren't going to go see it. And so conservatives are watching our review, and they're giving us thumbs down because they are already set in what they believe. And so now we can't be so arrogant as we get called conspiracy theorists, but as liberty-loving libertarians, whatever we are, we can get into the tribe too, where it's like we are against everybody else. And so humans do this. But I found like the movie just reinforced things that people already believe, yet gave them some more data on top of that about the history of the Democrat Party, which is interesting.
And that was, I think, a fair thing that you talked about. Was you said that the documentation that they gave on the Democratic Party was pretty accurate and pretty good.
Yeah, it did. From my review of history, it seemed pretty accurate. There was a lot of historical facts they brought up about Andrew Jackson, about when the Civil War ended and the reestablishment. There was a lot in there as far as politically that seemed accurate, and I went and studied it after, and I put in a few factoids. Like Dinesh made this claim about treaties, that the Democrats were just really always violating these treaties, but then I went and studied, and the U.S. government has violated probably thousands of treaties, at least hundreds and hundreds, 500 alone with Native Americans. And so it was kind of disingenuous for him to rip on Democrats only about breaking treaties, because that's just what the U.S. government does.
It's a bipartisan thing. It's not something that that only one party does.
Yeah. What does this even matter? That was what I was doing the review. What does it even matter, any of this? Because if the right is so prone to war, and the war state and the military-industrial complex and the debts and the deficits pile up, if all you're doing is reinforce what the right believes in, that's what we get more of. And so that's the problem I have with Dinesh D'Souza's piece, is that it doesn't help people to wake up a little bit and say, you know, the right does pretty much what the left does at the top. They're all pretty much the same.
Right. The rhetoric is very different in how they talk, but the actual politicians and their actions, they're advancing the same agenda with just mildly
you want to
different
compare
nuance.
the death toll numbers from Hillary versus the Orrin Hatch, for instance.
Right.
Their policies are going to have the same fruits, more or less. They might have different theaters of war that they support or don't support, but the CFR and Goldman Sachs and all these players in this big conspiracy of war, which is no conspiracy because we have lots of dead, they're going to have the same results. So if Dinesh D'Souza really wants to help the country, he's probably going to sell a lot less tickets, but he might get more Democrats, so-called, and leftists to come and see a movie and say, wow, at the top, there's only one party. Very interesting.
There's only one
I
party
wish
at
he
the
would
top,
do
right?
more of that.
Right.
You know, every election, there's a group of people who I think maybe on the edge of realizing, hey, I'm getting sold out by both parties, and there's a problem here. And so people hit a breaking point where they've been paying attention long enough where they start to realize that. And then they're almost free from this trap, right, of thinking left and right, and then starting to realize this is about principled liberty, regardless of if I'm on the left or right. But the people who are almost there will see a movie like this and go, never mind, I'm all for the right. Right? This kind of stuff stops people from being that are on the edge from being freed from the left-right paradigm.
Well, they can't get out of it because if you listen to talk radio, there you are. Well, right. and it's kind of ironic because you guys are in the reddest state, the reddest part. I live in the reddest part of the reddest state in the Union, so-called, and you're on the radio. So it's a little ironic. We're kind of talking negatively about talk radio, but for the most part, you just get reinforced. And Enoch, you're so right. At the end of this movie, the 2-minute military-industrial complex guy, that patriotic thing. I said it in a comment. I have commented to everybody who's commented on the video. There's been quite a few, and it's been fun. But I said the problem is that last 2 minutes of this documentary, so-called, reinforces everything that we are taught. Why we say the Pledge of Allegiance all the time, as almost on cue, like robot. Right. Why at church we pray for the soldiers who are fighting for our freedom. It just reinforces that we need to be at war, because his premise for why the Clintons want to steal America is because they want an Islamic caliphate. Essentially, there's that. He says that in the very opening credits of the thing when he sets the premise is that the Clintons want to steal America, and that will lead to an Islamic caliphate and worldwide war.
So Hillary's also a secret Muslim.
Maybe he is. I don't know. I don't know what he is.
No. I said maybe
stuff.
Hillary. Maybe unless you're being serious. I said maybe Hillary is a secret Muslim. Is that what his point was?
Oh, yes.